Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my channel here on the interwebs, my small little channel. Now, I was at my property pretty much all weekend. Came back Sunday, left Friday, and I actually had a blast. I mean, it's a little too hot here in the Texas heat, but you know the old saying, can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. Same thing is true with Texas because, Texas has some pretty hot days. It can get up to the triple digits, even though it didn't get to the triple digits. I think it got up to 95 ish, maybe 96 in the peak. I gotta tell you, I don't know if I'm ready to do multiple days camping. But, anyways, that goes without saying. I did post a couple of pictures of my saving work, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the Democrats who are cowards, who couldn't stand the heat of losing, so they fled the city. They fled the state. I think two of them actually left the country to avoid their civic duty. That is right. I am all for the voter integrity bills that are being proposed. That would have won, would have gotten passed, and would have made Texas elections a little bit more stronger, a little bit more robust, and a lot more integrity to avoid cheating on both parties. But as I'm looking on the Twitters while I was going to sleep, I ran across this. Democrats who fled Texas sues Governor Abbott. Speaker Dade Phelan says their efforts to force their return violates their civil rights. No, I'm sorry, you gave up some of your civil rights when you became elected officials. It's kind of like the military. Yes, you do have some civil rights, but you have to give up certain rights in order to impose rights on others. It's a yin and a yang, you know. Sign up for the brief, our daily newsletter. Nope, I don't think so. I'm allergic to BS. Anyways, 22 Texas House Democrats sue some of the state's top Republican leaders in federal court in Austin late Friday, alleging that the GOP officials' effort to bring them home for a special legislation section infringe on their constitutional right to free speech. No, your free speech is not being trampled upon whatsoever. You can say this is a crap bill. You can strongly urge the voters to write their representatives to avoid voting on such bill, but your freedom of speech is kind of not limited, but it's kind of you have to do your speech here in Austin. Let's put it that way, since you're scheduled to be in Austin. So as long, you can say whatever you want while you're in Austin, whether you're in the house, but you're required here because you signed up when you became an elected official. This is what you're supposed to do. Free speech and petition the government to readdress grievances. The lawsuit was filed on the final day of the first special session called by Governor Greg Abbott and on the eve of the second specifically called legislation session. And the names as defendants, Abbott and House Speaker Dade Phelan and the state representative James Wright. Abbott has called for the arrest of more than 50 House Democrats who fled the state last month to block passage of the election integrity bill, said that they would restrict voting rights in the state of Texas. Actually, I would disagree. It actually gives 2 weeks of early voting. I think Delaware doesn't even have 2 weeks. It adds more hours in the day for voting. I think it adds 12 hours to the last week leading up to the election day. So it actually adds more. I mean, there's some things that might be questionable, but I honestly don't think it is. Anyways, moving forward. The department left the House without a quorum. The number of present members needed to pass a bill stalling the chambers of operation. Phelan put out a chamber under the call of an effort to regain quorum, a signed and civil warrant for the State Rep Philip Cortez, Democratic San Antonio, after he returned to Texas House, only to depart the nation's capital again a few days later. It is unclear why White is listed as a defendant. White said Friday night that he did not know that he was being sued or why he was named as a defendant. The lawsuit also did not use Fallon's legal name, which Matthew D.K. Fallon. Abbott and Fallon did not immediately have a statement on the lawsuit. Democrats attorney Greg Anthony Washington is a former Democrat lawmaker who is practicing law under a probationary suspended license, according to the State Bar of Texas. Now, I think there was a recent lawsuit or recent suit that pretty much said that the Texas Bar cannot enforce the rules since they're acting as a political party. So that's why you can no longer force the Texas lawmakers, or not lawmakers, but lawyers to pay fees because they're acting as a political PAC, so to speak. It also claims that 3 Republican lawmakers acted together under the color of the law to cause them harm, alleges the suit, but points no specific harm in actions other than public statements. The lawsuit also said some individual plaintiffs experienced retaliatory attacks, threats, and attempts to or at coercing related to the exercise of a First Amendment right, but again does not provide specifics. No, I actually have to hand it to the Texas Tribune, because this is actually a left-wing site. They're more geared towards the Democrat Party and more of the left-leaning. And this is actually showing a non-bias, but probably a little bit more bias in their reporting. So I have to hand it to them. I give them credit for remaining somewhat neutral. Plaintiff listed in the case, Reps Stephana Thomas, Trey Martinez, Fisher, Gene Wu, Vicky Goodwin, yada yada yada. All these are traitors. Well, not really traitors. I'm not going to call them traitors, but I'm going to call them a derelict of duty. I think they should be voted out during the next election, and I oppose anybody, even if you agree with what they're doing, is we don't want Texans to flee from their responsibility. And I think what they're doing is they're avoiding responsibility to vote on the bill, even regardless if they disagree with it. They should still remain present and actually did their job and vote no. I mean, that's kind of how our system's set up. Whether you agree with the way it's set up or disagree with its set up, it is still their responsibility, their duty to vote either yay or nay on bills, and they don't get to run away when they're on the losing side. And when I mean losing, as in this bill is going to get passed regardless of their efforts, and they decided to break quorum, which is kind of why there's a arrest warrant, and it's a technicality of an arrest warrant. It's not exactly an arrest warrant. What they're going to do is they're going to get picked up and be shipped to the Capitol, and they'll be forced to vote yay or nay. But Saturday morning, Derry issued a statement saying that she has not asked to have the suit filed in her name. I did not request, review, or authorize the filing, she said. Collier issued a similar statement about an hour later. Washington declined to comment. The lawsuit alleges that the 3 Republican lawmakers attempted by public statement or otherwise to attempt to deny, coerce, threaten, intimidate, and prevent the Democrats from from voting in all elections, preventing the government to readdress their grievances, speaking publicly about their constitutional right, exercising the right of association, and their right to not being arrested without probable cause. The probable cause is you left. You left the state. You abandoned your duties, and that's why you're being detained. Maybe arrest isn't the proper word to use, but you're going to be picked up. You're going to be detained until we have this vote. And so this law can either be passed or not passed based on votes. It's cause and effects. I mean, you were sworn in to represent Texas at the state capitol, which is Austin, and you left You abandon your duties, and that is why you're being detained. And it's not like a natural arrest where you're going to be booked and fingerprint and see a judge. It's not going to be that type of arrest. Probable, let's see, where was that? Because the period exercising the right, arrest without probable cause, the Democrats allege that in acting together, defiance engaged into a conspiracy that will deprive them of their constitutional right. Because the defendant's actions, the complaint alleges the plaintiff have been deprived of their liberty and substantial periods of time, suffered much anxiety and distress over their separation of their families, and much discomfort and embarrassment. Yes, you should be embarrassed of yourself because you abandoned Texas. This frustrates me to no end. You caused the suffering on your own. You caused the depravity of your own liberty by leaving Texas when you're supposed to be working. If I were to do that at my job, I would be fired. We don't get to fire you, but yet we get to detain you to make sure that you vote. Anyways, this is all done. This is all done because of your selfishness that you lost a vote, lost the opportunity to cut down a bill that would give us integrity, and you fled. All you fled, and you caused this on yourself. This is self-inflicted. I'm sorry. The complaint then claims $5 in additional damages and $10 in punitive damages. Disclosure: the State Bar of Texas had been a financial supporter of the Texas Tree Remove, a nonprofit, blah, 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 yeah. Disclaimer. Anyways, so Texas is being sued over by some little whiny babies because they fled the state, and then they were being told that they were going to be arrested as soon as they came back, and now they feel anxiety. They feel these people think they're above the law. They think they could abandon their job and nothing will happen. I'm glad that, as weak as Greg Abbott is, he has somewhat of a spine to say that they're going to be detained when they come back so they can have this vote, so they can make quorum, so we could at least have some rule of law and have some voter integrity. I mean, that's... I applaud you. If you are against this bill or for this bill, I oppose you. I have not opposed you, but I encourage you to actually read the bills. I want to know where in the bills that limits people's rights to vote in person. Now we get the 24-hour rule and the busing, but there's actually provisions within that bill in case you want to bus people to polls. I understand that. I understand it limits mail-in ballots, and to some people, they view that as a suppression. But if you're a healthy adult, you should be able to vote in person. But anyways, this is actually not a sponsored video. I just like this little plugin that I've been using for a couple months called Cultivate. It's available on Chrome and of course Firefox. I just found that out. Now with this plugin, let's say if you want to go to Amazon.com and you're searching for products that are either made in America or not made in China. Now, I don't really care where it's made, as long as it's not in China. Now, I understand that certain items are only made in China that's on Amazon, like this French press. As you can see right here, it says the seller is Guangdong, China, which means that the seller is from China and the brand is from China. So if you want to make an effort to not rely on China so much, this is just a good way to kind of fight the good fight. Now, I've recently purchased stuff from China because sometimes it's the only option and it's kind of unavoidable. But with this plugin, it makes it a little bit easier to detect on Amazon. I think a few other sites, I think Walmart.com also has it. It's a cool little plugin. Like I said, this isn't sponsored, but if they want to sponsor me and want to pay me some money for the free advertisement, I'm all for it. I just want to say this is not sponsored by them. It's just a plugin I'm using because I don't really want to buy stuff from China unless I absolutely have to. And this is a good plugin to identify whether the brand is from China or the seller's from China, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to bring back jobs back to the United States to make our own stuff. Whether it is good quality or just crap, I rather support fellow Americans. And like I said, I've also bought stuff from Japan. I'm actually expecting a sickle from Japan that should arrive any hour today, so I could use that to work on my yard. But it's not from China. That's the most important thing. Anyways, leave a comment down below on what your thoughts about the Democrats. Are they the unsung heroes? Do you think that they're doing good in Texas? Are they your personal heroes? Let me know why. Are you on the other side where they should be villains? They should be detained, be forced to vote on this bill because it's going to give you voter integrity, yada yada. Or are you somewhere in the middle? Let me know. Anyways, smash the like and subscribe button. And if you think a friend or family member will like my content, please share it out to them. I'm trying to grow my YouTube numbers. Not because of a personal pride, only because I want super chats. It's all about the money for me. I'm being honest about it. Now, if you think being honest gives me a subscribe, go for it. Anyways, with that being said, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.